What's up, everybody, and welcome to the New York Gamer channel. Brand new episode. I'm glad you all are back. I really got to start this episode with stating how wrong I was with my impressions of the Resident Evil Village demo. And I'll be very brief about this and enjoy some footage while I'm talking, but I was completely wrong about Resident Evil Village. I played a 60-minute demo that Capcom released that I'm convinced was an early build of the title, or let's just say an unfinished build of the title, because having played the final version of the game now, and on my third playthrough, 20 plus hours in, my first playthrough was about 10 and a half hours, my second playthrough was about 7.5, and now my third, I'm betting I'll be around that 4 hour mark because I'm having infinite ammo. When I first played that title, and I won't go into retreading too much old ground, you could watch in the previous episode, I really thought that demo was inferior. It wasn't as polished as what I would have expected for a game that took over 4 years to come out. And I felt the gameplay was loose. The camera angle was blurry when it came to movement with the character. It just felt it was off. It just felt too funky for me. I could confidently say I was so wrong, completely wrong on that. But it's also due to, I feel the demo was not as tweaked and polished as the final version. The final version, the controls felt tighter, the visuals felt brighter, they felt better. The movement of the character felt more fluid than in the demo. So there were a lot of things to me personally that I felt gave the fans an unfair view of how the game was going to be. And I don't know if that was Capcom's intention to show how good the product was from demo to that, or it was a flub on their part. I don't know. But the point is, I would give that title a solid 8.5, which is way more than I was thinking in my head when I was doing the last episode, talking about that demo that, honestly, I'd written it off at, it was going to be maybe low 7s. That's how much anger I had for that title after playing the demo. I just really felt that title was not giving me what I deserved after playing such a great title in 2017 with a so-so ending, but an otherwise awesome, fresh take on the series. Having said that, I know there are tons of friends of mine and people who will never touch this title because it's first person. And I get that. And I wish Capcom would have given an option. I know it would have been hard, but given an option to have a third-person view as well as a first-person view. Because people I speak to have watched the gameplay and have watched the story and actually really could see themselves enjoying that storyline, enjoying the gameplay. The gameplay, I must say, is nail-biting. It's edge of your seat. It's hectic. It's intense. It's anxiety-filled. It's everything you want a survival horror to be. Everything you want a survival horror to be. It will make you shit your pants if you are not a hardcore horror, survival horror gamer. Put it that way. I put Resident Evil 8, especially on the harder difficulties, or Resident Evil Village, whatever you want to call it. I put that up there with Alien Isolation, Resident Evil 2 with the tyrant chasing you, and any other title that you could think of, a Dead Space, where the fear of the environment and the enemies are so much so that you have an anxiety almost turning on the game to play it because it's just so scary, especially in that first-person view. And I know that's why they did that view. It makes everything more claustrophobic because you don't know what's behind you and around you, which is different from a third person where I could rotate the camera all around me. Or even if I had the camera over my shoulder, I still have more of a field of vision, I feel. With first person, it adds that realism. It really puts you in the shoes of that character. Having said that, Resident Evil Village, you're seeing footage now for those watching. That's footage of me playing the Mercenaries mode. And let me tell you, it is fast-paced, it's intense, and I hope you're getting that in this footage, and I hope you're enjoying it, because I've gotten really good at the game, but that's what almost 30 hours of playtime now. I really advise everyone to check it out. You could watch my previous video and hear a completely different person talking about that title, meaning me, but just having a completely different impression of it. And you could watch this footage now and hear me and say, man, this guy is a hypocrite. And listen, a 60-minute demo versus almost 30 hours of gameplay and the final build of the title. And yes, I'm a changed man. Completely agree. It is a different title completely. Moving on. It was just announced this week a beloved franchise is making a comeback, a franchise from the early 2000s. And I have to mention this because it's not a franchise that's beloved for me, not because I didn't like it, but because I missed the boat and never got to play it. And that is Timesplitters. For those of you unfamiliar, Timesplitters was a beloved series that spawned 3 titles that I know of. Could be wrong, there could be another one. And it was made from the same team that did GoldenEye and Perfect Dark. So you're talking about a stellar team that has since disbanded, but was announced that they have come back together to make this title, Free Radical. This is a huge thing for fans of the series. I'll mention a friend of mine who runs a retro gaming YouTube channel called the GameCube Galaxy, and I'll have the information below here. You could go check it out. It's an awesome channel. Anyone who's a GameCube or Nintendo enthusiast, I implore you to go check it out because it is really great concept videos on top 10 stuff in the GameCube generation. Great stuff. But I mentioned Timesplitters because they asked me, mention that. Even if you're not a fan of the series, people are, and it's good for them to hear about it. I'm sure they're reading about it. But it's exciting because anytime a series gets resurrected, and this will lead into our next topic, anytime a series gets resurrected, the biggest hope is that I hope the developer doesn't fuck it up. I hope the developer doesn't really mess up my memories of what this used to be, how it made me feel at the time I played it, how it may encapsulate a time in your life, whether it was a time you were in high school, a time you were in a relationship, a time you were doing a sports thing, a time you were doing a job that you loved or hated. Whatever game you were playing at that time, it kind of all it's a timestamp. So whenever you were playing this Timesplitter series, or moving on to this next topic, when you were playing the Mass Effect series, whatever that game is for you, if they're going to resurrect it and give it some 21st century treatment, you hope it's done right. So we'll see what happens with Timesplitters, but I just wanted to mention that. And again, check out that channel, GameCube Galaxy. A lot of great stuff on there, a lot of great content. Mass Effect. I had mentioned it briefly in the last video, but now I'm 7 hours in to Mass Effect 1. And I just want to give my impressions along with the gameplay you're seeing of the game itself. I originally played this back in 2010, and Mass Effect 1 was already about 4 years old. I missed the boat on when this first launched. This was a huge title for the 360. This was from BioWare, the same people who wrote your KOTOR or Knights of the Old Republic. So this was their first big console title. Coming from a PC developer to go to console, this was a big gamble for them. It was a traditional RPG, something I don't really like. And when it came to the 360 exclusive, the title was just gargantuan. It was just huge. The possibilities, the storyline, where things could go, the script, the visuals, the gameplay. It was just so original and groundbreaking that I remember thinking years later, when I finally got into then 2 and 3, and they were phenomenal and expanded on so much, and maybe left RPG-ish a little-ish to go more to mainstream action, but still retain some RPG qualities. I always thought Mass Effect 1 needs a kind of remaster treatment or a remake treatment. And it never happened. And years passed, and then thank God for Microsoft allowing backwards compatibility, you were able to play it again on the Xbox One. And then eventually on the Series X for this generation. And the game gets slightly enhanced, little frame rate boost here and there, whether it was intentional or not. The console was just pushing this old software to run better. It still wasn't the same as a true remaster or remake treatment. And I remember seeing all kinds of rumors for years, all corners of the internet universe, Reddits and everywhere else. Remaster's coming, a remaster's coming, a remake is coming. The Mass Effect trilogy is such a huge franchise that to me it's almost what Star Wars did for cinema, Mass Effect did for gaming. Now that may seem inflated, but to me it's really not. And I'm not a space or RPG type gamer. But this franchise literally had something for everyone. They had a character for everyone. They had a storyline for everyone. And it was so versatile. It was so organic and so large, the scope of it, that it's still amazing today when I play it. It's something that was groundbreaking then, and it's groundbreaking now. So when it finally was announced that there was going to be a remaster, not a remake, but a remaster coming out, my same thought process is the same thought process that probably Timesplitters fans and Metal Gear Solid people and Resident Evil people, anyone who's heard that their beloved series is about to get a remake or a reboot, please don't ruin it for us. Please don't ruin it. I'm happy to report 7 hours in to the Legendary Edition with Mass Effect 1. They absolutely exceeded my expectations for enhancing the title. If you're looking at the footage now, you're seeing a title that you have to remember was being developed in 2005 and 2006 and launched in 2007. So the fluidity of this title, the camera panning around the character, the environmental detail, everything was groundbreaking back then. But thinking with 2021 eyes, when you play the original version, it's jagged, it loads long, it's a little rough to control. The developers put such love into this remaster, improving the textures, the resolution, the frame rate, the color, the controls. There was such a level of love here that I don't know if people will fully comprehend the amount of work that was probably put into this. They'll probably think it just looks slightly nicer. But when you look at them side by side with the 2007 version and the 2021 version, especially playing on the Series X, I'm not playing in the 1440p 120 hertz mode, which is exclusive to the Series X at this point. I'm playing just a 4K 60 frame version, which I shouldn't say just, because 4K 60 was a rarity up until a few months ago. Playing this game in 4K resolution, 60 frames, is life-changing for a Mass Effect fan. It is the best you're ever going to see this 2007 title play, unless there's a remake in the future. I'm constantly surprised and shocked when I'm controlling Shepard that this is a 2007 title, because when I look at the environments and I look at the fluidity of the movement of the characters and the scale, it surpasses so many games that are still coming out right now in this generation, 15 years later, 14 years later. So it's a testament to that developer. I can't wait to start Mass Effect 2 and 3 to see how much better it even looks, because those were games that came out post 2007, 2010, and 2012, and those years on. And I can't wait to just see what work was put into them too. So Mass Effect Legendary Edition, gorgeous game, ultimate fan service, and just so glad to see it got the treatment it deserves. Moving on to another fan service. Rockstar this year is celebrating the anniversary of GTA. GTA 3 to be specific. GTA 3, which launched in 2001. This fall, this October, marks the 20th anniversary that this game came out, which to me is insane because I remember it like yesterday. With that, the month after, November 11th, they're going to be releasing yet again a third version of GTA 5. So that is the third version spanning 3 generations of Grand Theft Auto 5. Originally released on the PS3 and 360, re-released enhanced on the PS4 and Xbox One, and now will be enhanced on the Series X and PS5. Now I know what you're thinking, that's some greedy shit. And yes, that is some greedy shit. And yes, it is annoying. But it is also a testament to the craftsmanship and world that the Rockstar developers created and crafted many years ago. They created a world that was so detailed, so revolutionary, that when it launched in 2013, people are still playing it in 2021. That says something. Having said that, I don't agree with a business model where a gaming company wants to keep the consumer trapped in a world for 10 plus years. That's just me. A lot could be said about the consumer. That's consumer's choice, what they want to do. I just don't agree with the whole Destiny model, Minecraft model, Rockstar model, and any other company you could think of where you want to hold the consumer in this gaming world and not experiencing anything else for mega years. It's one thing to want the consumer to stay in their world for a year, maybe two, and you support it with paid DLC, free DLC. But when you want them to stay in there over 2 or 3 generations of consoles, I think it's a bit much, and I just don't agree with the model. And I don't agree with it. Having said that, there are rumors that Rockstar is going to have special announcements coming in the fall. They've come out and said that. Where and what they do is up in the air. I'm envisioning something around GTA 3. People are talking about a GTA 3 remaster or remake. I think different. I think that it's not going to be a GTA 3 remaster. It's not going to be a GTA 3 remake, even though there was a GTA 3 remaster back on the iPhone and iPad about 10 plus years ago. Now, a lot of people won't remember that. It was the 10th anniversary edition. It was for iOS. I think Rockstar, because of previous statements in the GTA 5 generation, the first generation, there was supposed to be single-player DLC to GTA 5. Supposed to be. It was supposed to revolve around something with Liberty City. It never came. I'm thinking there is going to be some kind of DLC in the enhanced PS5 and Series X versions of GTA 5, where you'll go back to Liberty City maybe for a mission or two. Kind of like what San Andreas did many years ago. You'll go back and you'll play in Liberty City with the updated engine. So you will see Liberty City with 2021 visuals, or at the very worst, 2012, 2013 visuals. I guess people would take it at this point. I don't think you'll see a full remake because they're focusing on GTA 6. So that's my prediction. I think that's what it's going to be. It's going to be something revolving around Liberty City, and it'll be incorporated into the GTA 5 Enhanced Edition. That's my thought process on that. Final topic. First and foremost, I'm a Nintendo fan before any other company. So if I had a gauge in the last couple of years, it would be Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony last. Never PC. Always will support consoles. Always console over PC for me. But Nintendo, in the last 2 or 3 years, I feel is doing these kind of little sprinkles of anti-consumerism. Not as bad as Sony, but when it comes to their streaming service for their retro games. Now, the Switch launched in 2017. In 2018, they launched Nintendo Switch Online. They promised at the time of that launch in 2018, they were going to release monthly retro games from their library, their gargantuan library. They would start with Nintendo titles monthly. Eventually, they would expand to Super Nintendo titles. And then who knows, maybe it would be 64 and GameCube. Who knows? We never got there yet. Then in 2019, almost a year later, they said, we're not going to release monthly titles on our streaming service. Now we're going to release it sporadically, whenever we want. Okay, so that's basically, well, strike one to the fans. Fuck you guys. Okay. But nobody told us that Nintendo, in doing that, was going to stab you twice. Not only were they going to say it's not monthly anymore, but when we do feel like releasing shit, it may be titles you don't know, and we don't care. Like Spanky's Quest 3, Waka Waka 2, Dumpster Fire 6. Titles that we're supposed to remember from our childhood for Nintendo and Super Nintendo, yet nobody's ever heard of or knows, or some kid in Idaho liked it, but nobody in the rest of the free world liked it. I'm being facetious and I'm being dramatic, but it is annoying. It is frustrating. Yes, their service is only $20 a year versus Sony and Microsoft's. Fine. Raise the price then. If you're that greedy, raise it to 30, raise it to 40, but then only release known titles. I don't want to see Spanky's Quest 2. I don't want to see Waka Waka 3. I don't want to see these garbage titles. I want to release the mega hits from your own collection. We're talking about preservation here of your collection. enjoyment of your company's collection. Why be gatekeepers? Why be gatekeepers in 2021 when you have such a loyal fan base that will move heaven and earth and buy 15 different versions of your 3DS and all previous handheld iterations? Why be such gatekeepers and so anti-consumer is so puzzling to me when you've made your money tenfold over through my generation, my parents' generation, and before. Nintendo's been a company that was around before gaming consoles existed. They started as a trading card company back in the early 1900s. So they are the biggest kid on the block, no doubt. Having said that, I've already shelled out, along with tons of other gamers, tons of money in the Wii generation when they first introduced Virtual Console games, where they would release their old collection on the Wii eShop. Then on the Wii U shop channel. Again, I'm probably saying the shop channel is wrong, but I was doing the $5.99 purchases for Donkey Kong, a $12.99 purchase for Nintendo's Mario 64, a Donkey Kong 64. I was individually giving them my money for that. Then when the Switch came along, they said, no, you don't got to do that. Just give us one payment a year, and we'll release monthly all those great titles you loved. Then they changed and said, no, we're not going to do it monthly. We'll do it whenever we want. Now they're saying, not only are we going to do it whenever we want, we'll do it whenever we want, and it could be completely garbage, F-rated titles that you've never heard of, you've never played. They may have never even came on a console in your country. And maybe once in a while, we'll throw a known title at you, like a Donkey Kong Country 2, a Super Mario World. But for the most part, you guys could just chew on that for a little bit. Well, that's annoying and that's frustrating for consumers. So it's that famous quote, tell me you don't want to do this by not telling me you don't want to do this. Well, Nintendo switched then back to the individual purchase service rather than a one-price streaming service, because it's obvious you don't want to do this anymore because some muckety-muck said, we can make more money the old way, so let's go back to it. So grab the sack, move forward, and literally allow us to be suckers again and just repay for these classic titles that we've already done for 2 generations in a row. We'll do for a 3rd generation in a row. I'm openly saying I'm fine with that. It's not right. It's not morally right. But at the end of the day, your job is to make money. Our job is to be a sucker. Consumer, I mean. So let us do that again. Let's go back to that old model because it's clear this model is just not for you guys. That's it. That's my rant, folks. That's my bitch fest. I hope you enjoyed some of the footage you saw. I hope you enjoyed some of the topics. And as always, please like, comment, and subscribe. Really, like, comment, and subscribe. If you didn't like what you heard, if you disagree with it, let's have a discourse. Let's have a conversation. Comment. Write to me. Let me know. And as always, I do this for a labor of love. I don't do this for hits. I don't do it to get back into the gaming business. I've already done reviews. I've been a liaison for a website, PR liaison. So this is really a labor of love for me to just have an outlet to discuss my feelings on current trends and topics in gaming. And for those interested in this kind of dialogue to comment back and maybe follow. So comment, like, subscribe, and until next time, enjoy the gaming. Peace.